So if you want to make your own book cover design and you don't have access to Photoshop, you're probably looking around for some free online graphic design tools that allow you to make really high quality book covers. There's already a lot of programs like Canva and even some programs specifically made for book cover design, but they're not very good because they don't allow you to blend layers and they don't have the right kind of text effects. So this is a tool I've been building for almost 7 years and I haven't quite released it yet. It used to be up, but then Flash crashed, so I had to redesign it. Without Flash, it's almost done, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that I think are really cool. So the reason that Photoshop is so great for designing covers is that you can blend layers together. For example, if I've got an image, then I can go over here and choose screen or overlay to blend two different layers together and get some really interesting and cool effects. Even if you're not doing anything really fancy, it's really important because I could add some birds to the sky over here. This one's actually already a PNG, which means there's a transparent background. But even if it wasn't like that, like this one's a JPEG, but you can go in the blending and go to multiply, which will just leave the dark parts. So it makes it really easy to add stuff. For magic or fantasy, I usually add some kind of smoke for a magical effect. So I might put this down here. And then for lighter stuff, I can go to lighten. And that just gives it kind of some more texture. I'll also usually add a vignette layer. So something like this. It doesn't have to be exact, but you can see kind of the ends of my book cover. You can actually go to custom size really easily and change between 6:9, 5.8, or a bunch of different social media graphics. But that just darkens the edges and makes the center focus stand out a little bit. So that's why this tool is really cool, because you can blend layers. It's the only online design tool that can do that. But because it's meant for book cover design specifically, a main problem has been fonts. So I added in a ton of free fonts that are good enough. They're not quite the top pro premium fonts that you really want to use to stand out in your genre, but there's a really wide variety that will allow me to make a reasonably good, well-designed genre templates for every genre. But let me just pick one. So I've added my title here. I can space it out, which you usually want to do. And I might make it a little bit bigger. So if this was black on a white background, it would stand out really well. And later I'm going to give you a really long video about why you shouldn't use all of these text styles that I've added. Because for really good looking covers, you want the text to be really simple and have natural contrast. I usually don't like bevel or gradient or glow or any of that stuff. If it's overdone, it can look really tacky, so it has to be really subtle. So Photoshop allows you to do a lot of really cool things with typography and font effects. My tool is not finished yet, so I haven't updated all of these little icons, so these icons don't match what you're actually going to see. But I've spent hundreds of hours going through and adding different types of font effects. And some of them are already kind of cool. These are gradients with a little bit of like a inner glow. Some of these look a little bit tacky, but I want to give way too much variety. And if you go down far enough, they start to get pretty interesting. I figured out how to add gradients and bevel and even a pattern overlay. I'm going to change the font so you can see that better. And I'm mostly sharing this because I'm excited to finally be getting close to done on this project. So I have to redo all of these styles over here so that you can actually see what you're going to get. But it's not quite Photoshop, but there are some really good options. And even though you can design your own cover from scratch with this tool, the selling point, the real value is that I can finally make a ton of pre-mades that you can just click and open and start editing right away. So I'm going to choose the right fonts and the right text effects and the right kind of art. And you can just come and switch out your art and make changes and save this as a Kindle cover. Later, you can actually go to custom size. So I'm also going to have a tutorial about how to make a full print cover. It's a little tricky because you have to calculate the inches and then convert them to the pixels, but it's not too tricky. There hasn't really been a tool like this that I'm aware of. And even if there's something that comes close, they weren't really developed by a real book cover designer. I see a lot of book cover design stuff that's for like workbooks or free giveaways or ebooks, PDFs, stuff like that. But really high quality, detailed, in-depth art for sci-fi and fantasy, which tend to be harder to design for, or young adult, romance, all kinds of things. So I'm pretty excited about this tool almost being finished. I'm not a coder, so this is what the code looks like just for those text effects. I have like 100, 200 different text effects that I had to go through and play with manually to get all of these different looks and styles. So I'm almost done with that. I'm going to clean things up and then I'm going to upload it so that people can start playing with it while I'm working on building the templates. I just wanted to share because I think that's pretty exciting. This stuff will all be up at DIYbookcovers.com. In the menu, there's a place that goes to free book cover maker. This is going to be a free tool. There will be a bunch of free templates down here. It'll have all the different genres, so you can just click and open a bunch of templates, but I'll also have some packages of genre-based templates that take a little bit more time and effort. So you can get a really simple one for free, or you can get a really, really cool one for however much it's going to cost when I finish the tool. Thanks. Bye-bye.